Greetings and welcome to another episode of Sonic Weekly. My name is Bo. I'm in for Grant, and I am introducing a cast of characters, some of whom you may remember from previous episodes of the show, including David the Lurker.
Oh, yeah, I guess I've been here before, at least once. It was a long time ago. Don't really remember what we do here. Bo, is it?
I think you're the only one with perfect attendance.
I think you're right. All right, you were on leave for a period of time, and Grant's been gone a couple times, and you've stepped in to be Grant. Listeners of the show won't be able to see it, but right now Bo is actually labeled as Grant, which is because
I'm logged into Grant's Zencaster account. Legally, I am Grant, and legally, I also have to introduce our guest, Arlan, the Sonic the Hedgehog impresario himself.
Hey, how's it going? And yes, I've only been here one time, so.
Right. Well, now it's
we are bringing you back, and don't think you're going to get out of future appearances. We are going to pull you back in anytime we have something very important to discuss, like this week. And let's just imagine I made up some other news that wasn't the movie trailer, and we all laugh like, wasn't there some other big news? All right, what do you guys think? Arlan, you're our guest. Keanu Reeves' Shadow, Chow in a movie. What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
I mean, yeah, it's great that it's finally out there. The community's been a bit fickle, I think, the last couple of months, making fun of the fact that we haven't really seen anything about it, especially because we've been seeing so much about Sonic and Shadow generations. At the moment, it's like, well, okay, this is all meant to be this. I actually went to Walmart this week and I saw Sonic 3 toys. I've seen some Sonic 3 toys going out there, but they're all using the same the same images from Sonic 2.
Yeah, you see some posters where it's Knuckles and Robotnik together, and I think this is a Sonic 2 thing, but
yeah,
we're just awash in Sonic merch these days. This is
yeah,
renaissance of Sonic merch.
It's been pretty wild in that case. But, I mean, yeah, the trailer is out there. Finally we now have seen Shadow. We've seen Keanu Reeves say one sentence or, 4 words?
1.5, yeah.
1.5 words. But, I mean, it looks pretty cool, I would say. Shadow looks great in this case. They look like they're in Tokyo. And doing a bit of a fight there. Obviously, it's only really a bit of a teaser in that way, but it seems, based on what they've shown us so far, it seems quite action-packed, and so I'm pretty excited to actually watch the film now.
Yeah, David, what's your reaction? What do you think?
I'm into it. I am officially hyped and or pumped for a film starring Shadow the Hedgehog, which is a strange thing to think about. 20 years ago, if you had asked me, or 19, let's do 19, because Shadow comes out, Shadow 05. Does anybody call it that? I guess some people call it that. It doesn't matter. Shadow the Hedgehog is released as a video game, and you go, oh no, this is how it is from now on. And then if you said, oh, but in 20 years, there's going to be a movie starring Sonic or Shadow, I'd be like, no, I think you're lying. And if you're not lying, then something terrible has happened. But no, you know what? I'm excited about it. It's a good trailer. It's 3 minutes long. There's a lot in it, but there's also a lot of questions. It doesn't tell us the entire thing. There's things we can assume because clearly they're using Sonic Adventure 2 as a base. I guess. I'll throw this out there. Anybody who's listening and for some reason is I'm going to avoid all promotional material of Sonic 3, you should probably turn this off. Also, I don't know why you're listening in the first place, but let's be safe.
We'll give them a moment. Give them a moment to turn it off, scramble, find the button. We'll give them okay, all right, get out of here. All right, you make it
right now. Yes. So I'm excited. Yeah, I know there's been a lot. A couple days prior to the trailer reveal, there was the huge campaign where it's on. Do we have a list of every single city Sonic the Hedgehog was teased in, or Sonic 3?
It's Fargo, it's St. Paul, it is Richardson, Texas, it is Omaha,
Omaha.
yeah, Pierre, Montpelier, all
Pierre.
of them.
All of them.
South Dakota, yeah.
Every capital.
Every major
Wow.
city, yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Because were there any in Alaska? Like, was there one in Nome? Or was it just like a cardboard cutout?
Only hit Anchorage.
Only? Aw. Man,
Juneau was left out.
Right. They didn't sponsor the Iditarod this year. Is the Iditarod still a thing? I don't know. Yeah, but I'm hyped. I'm excited.
I'm in a weird spot because I don't think I really love the trailer too much, but I do think the movie will be good. And I think part of my issue is that I just don't like trailers. Like, there's just kind of a rhythm to a movie trailer that annoys me.
Okay.
And also, I got
specifically like teaser trailers, or like this is more of a teaser trailer where it's like just very vague things that we can sort of pick up on, but it's not telling you like what the real story is.
Right. For it to be a teaser, it is a long.
I thought it was just trailer. I got an unsolicited text from a normie, a non-Sonic person, and he says, the new Sonic movie was decent. Weird that they put it on YouTube for free and called it a trailer, though. So I think other people thought, like, oh, this thing's a little lengthy, right? My dislike of trailers aside, like, this looks like they're doing good. Like, visually, everybody seems kind of dialed in. Keanu sounds like a reasonable approximation of what Keanu as Shadow
sounds pretty
should sound
grimdark
like.
to me. So that's about what you really want in this.
The thing that really has like my best part of it though is the end. You get it's not exactly like note for note Live and Learn, but it is evocative music of Live and Learn, and to hear that in a movie score.
There's actually like a bit of a Green Hill bit in there as well. It's like got a bit of the Green Hill notes in there in the same way they sort of did in the first one, but like just not they haven't really hit that too much, I guess.
Right. Well, they always do it for trailers. Like, the teaser to Sonic 2 had Emerald Hill, and I think the official trailer had a little bit of Emerald Hill. No Emerald Hill in the actual movie. We've only gotten Green Hill in cheeky ways. Tom's cell phone, and that one guy who is the leader of some late night band whose name I cannot recall, that was in the first one. The first
Letterman, I think Letterman's guy.
No, not Letterman's guy. I know it's not. I don't know. It's one of the current ones. I forget if it's Colbert or Fallon. Right? It's one of those. It's one of those. One of them. I don't remember who.
It's not Craig Kilborn.
No, Craig Kilborn. Is Craig Kilborn alive? I feel like,
as we know, my pop culture knowledge aside from Sonic stops in 1998. So Craig Kilborn is still on the Daily Show to me.
Oh, he's still the Daily Show host. He didn't even move on to the Late Late Show, where he followed Letterman for a brief time before Craig Ferguson took over, and now it's no one. They canceled the Late Late Show and they've replaced it with At Midnight. This is good TV trivia. Everyone's excited. So this trailer does have a bit of Green Hill. It does have a bit of Live and Learn. There's the hope that those songs will be in the movie, or any Sonic songs will be in this movie. I'll laugh if the only Sonic song ends up being in, because we see a Chow Garden restaurant place in the trailer, and maybe we'll get a little Chow Garden music.
Oh, you think like Chow Garden neutral, like 10 minutes of that?
Yeah, why not?
I want the "Let's Get This Party Started."
That would be good.
just like in Sonic, in the second film, they just have that like just weird dance battle in the middle of it. Just do that, but to the "Let's Get Party Started" remix.
Oh yeah. Do you think there'll be a dance off in this one?
That's how they're going to end the film. That's how they defeat Shadow. That's how they go,
Or do you think Shadow will be too serious? Like Shadow definitely feels like you're going to have to take me seriously. There's when we saw Knuckles, there was sort of the naivete, like even in the trailer, like clearly he's a fish out of water. He knows about honor and such, but like there's the conflict of I do not fit in here. This is not where I belong. So there's humor derived from that. Shadow here, I guess, like Shadow in general, it feels like he's being played pretty straight, pretty straightforward, pretty like I'm upset. Look at me. I'm going to punch you. I'm going to twist your arm in the proper direction, and it will hurt.
I'm just going to rotate it 45 degrees, and I will break your arm this way.
Yeah,
I think weirdly, I'm looking forward to maybe the humor of it because I think you haven't changed in here, and he says, "Yeah, you're right, my lungs." Like, okay, that's a good joke. And then we're not here to fight, and Knuckles is like, I kind of do want to fight. I like that. Like, give me the lame jokes.
I guess we'll see like how much human stuff is in this one. Like, there's a little bit of your Donut Lord or whatever, and a few characters out there, but like, will this have a 10-minute wedding scene in the middle, like Sonic 2? Like, will it just go off the walls in some ways that have been in there previously, and that sort of thing, or will it just be Maria, and then like Robotnik speaking to Gerald, and then so basically just Jim Carrey just talking to himself in the same room or something like that?
Yeah, I do think that was a nice moment that even normies could get behind of like, okay, Jim Carrey acting against himself, like that's guaranteed to be a good time.
Yeah, it does. I do feel it does sometimes feel with Jim Carrey in this films. It's like I don't want to really be around anyone. I just want to be in a green screen and just go weird, just do some weird stuff. Along with what's his name? Who's his like
Lee Majub, Agent Stone?
Yeah. Like they seem to hang around, but it's like I just want to. I don't even want to have another person to talk to. Let me just put on more face makeup, like I'm in the that Christmas film I was in. As Scrooge, and then let's just get going.
He was the Grinch, right?
Yeah. He was the Grinch, but he was also in A Christmas Carol. That weird.
He definitely doesn't want to go that far again. I'm pretty sure.
Right, I forgot about.
I think you might be right. I think that actually was like CG. It was like the Polar Express.
Yes,
thing,
it was one of those things.
It's him, but just like a bunch of it's CG'd him on top.
Right. He probably had the ping pong balls on his face. This is what happened.
Keanu Reeves was in one of those, right? Scanner Darkly.
Oh yeah, I don't know if they really did anything special, or they just put on like a really cool effect. I don't know. I haven't seen that for a while.
Right. That's different, right? The Scanner Darkly has a different technique.
There's no The Grinch where you had to wear a whole, put 16 hours of putting on a suit so that you could be on it for an hour or something like that.
But they have this time around. Like, I guess Jim Carrey was pushing. Remember, for apparently Sonic 2, he wants a fat suit. He didn't get a fat suit. Now he's got 2 fat suits. He's he gets to be fat as Eggman, and I mean, I think Gerald might even be a little bigger.
He's heavier.
Robotnik, yeah. So
I do like the idea that he's like becoming Eggman. Like in the first one, he looks like a normal guy, and the second one, he's got the mustache, and now he's egg-shaped. Yeah,
I was expecting more from his from the fat suit. I was kind of expecting him to be more rotund when they said fat suit, and not like he's basically got the same gut that like Thor had in Endgame.
Yeah,
where it's like, sure.
Right. Well, I guess really he still has to look different than Gerald, right? Like, Gerald's the one who has the egg shape.
The funny thing on that is like, it's Jim Carrey and an older Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's 62. Like, he's already old Jim Carrey. Like, he's playing a guy. They're doing enough to him, even in the first film, to make him look like he's probably mid-40s or something like that in that way. But like, he's an old man at this point. He's just got some of that the Hollywood magic going, I guess, or he had a rubbery enough face
we should all want to look so good at 62
for sure,
right?
As Dr. Eggman.
but only as Dr. Eggman.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I guess it does introduce, or that brings up the question. So we do see, we know that both Eggman and Gerald are there. Gerald is old, but Eggman is presumably somewhat old. If that is his grandfather, he does. I think he calls him Papa, but I think that's supposed to be like grandfather, not daddy.
I saw some speculation that maybe they skipped the generation and now it's
Maybe it is
father
just his
son,
dad. I
and
don't know.
maybe Maria's a sister.
I feel like
I
you
don't
said
know.
pop pop, so
Pop
like
pop?
that sounds more like a grandfather thing. It could
Yeah.
also be completely just a hallucination or something like that as well.
Yes.
Like it could just be like he sees that. I mean, it says in his saggy flesh, but he could just be like talking nonsense.
He's still on the mushroom planet.
He's still,
Yes, exactly.
everything's been in his head this whole time. Sonic isn't even real. Like he actually slipped. It was just some kids who accidentally knocked out the power in the first movie, and he's just been tripping this whole time. Right. Well, I mean, if it is Gerald in the flesh, would that mean that he was super young when whatever happened happened? Because we do know 50 years passed. That's how Sonic 2 teases the next movie. 50 years ago, Project Shadow. And this trailer seems to show like, hey, we see Maria, we see Shadow in a tube, we see Gerald, and presumably Gerald and also Shadow looking sad in Explosion Town. Yeah, so if Gerald is alive, is it because he was super young and somehow like, or maybe, or has he also been frozen? Like, has he also been put into stasis, like Shadow?
Half robot sort of
He's
thing.
half robot.
he's like Robotnik in the Sad cartoon. He roboticized himself.
Okay, now I get it.
I think there's a couple of different possibilities. One is some sort of time travel plot. One is some sort of hallucination plot, and a third is they're just like, don't think about this too hard.
Oh, okay.
Go with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with C probably.
You're gonna go with C. Oh, there won't be like a scene where they both pull out their ID and we clearly see what year they were born in, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Somehow both 1991. They just want to make it a Sonic thing.
Went back in time and became his own grandpa, which is
I had to read that story in school.
Watch that Futurama episode.
Wait, which story? Like, I know there's a song, but there's a story?
No, I think it's based on a short story, a time travel short story.
Ooh.
Whoever is editing this, do a fact check on that and drop a note in.
The story Bo is thinking of is All You Zombies by Robert Heinlein.
I think with this film, one of the things for me is like, usually the third film in trilogies like this are terrible. They're not great. You got your Spider-Man 3 from like the original thing, X-Men 3, bad. But this still seems to be good. So I'm wary. I'm wary on that. Maybe it's like, you know, the Sonic stuff is the opposite, where this first one was going to be rotten with the original style of Sonic and all that sort of stuff. But and now it's actually like, oh, we've got some putting more money into it, but still seem to have the same people behind it and aren't trying to screw around with it too much.
I think that is a big part of it. Like, it's the same team. They obviously care about it. We've had Pat on the show, and he is very committed to turning in a good script. And we know Jeff Fowler loves Shadow.
Oh yeah, that's where because he tweeted, he was like, "Oh, one of the first jobs I ever had was working on Shadow the Hedgehog the game," and they even recreate that shot from the opening CG where Shadow steps forward and they pan up and Shadow might look the best he's ever looked in this trailer.
So here I'm a Grinch, and I don't like any of the animals except for maybe Knuckles. And it's something about the mouth and maybe the eyes. It just really rubs me the wrong way. It's like they have teeth, but they're not like the right kind of teeth. But I don't want the ugly Sonic teeth. I'm hard to please, and I know I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think with Shadow, because he's a character that scowls constantly, it makes it look like he's actually on model, because you don't have to actually worry about like seeing the middle bit of his eyes or anything like that. Like, because the rest of his face is so dark, you don't just notice that little bit of peach skin in between.
Mm.
And he already had black arms, so he didn't have to look like Sonic, where he had to switch out or anything like that too. So he's about the most on model he could possibly be for this movie.
Right. Black arms. Just like the black
Ah,
arms from the Black Comet and the Black Doom. And
exactly.
do you think any of that will be in this movie at all?
I hope not.
I am looking forward to what references are they going to put in for the us, and then also what like iconic things are they going to recreate. So we know they've got that shot with Shadow. The thing about movie 2 that really appealed to me was, all right, I've got Supersonic and the Death Egg robot fighting. Like my 1992 has now been projected onto a 50-foot screen. I'm very happy about this.
Yeah, and I would say the same with like ice cap zone sort of stuff as well.
Yeah,
the snowboarding, like, all right, cool, yes, you did the thing from the game, great. Like this is pretty positive. But they had to finagle the emerald and everything like that. It's like just some place somewhere on Earth, not floating. Just somewhere. It kind of looks like if anything, it was like more like Labyrinth Zone. Was kind of the vibe
I really
there.
like that. Yeah,
they did some stuff there. I would have liked to have seen the Master Emerald like make the island come up, so there is a floating island sort of thing. But otherwise, like it was pretty solid there. Now, will they actually even try to do space arc stuff in this film? Like that's a lot of what Sonic Adventure 2 has, is going into space, fighting a biohazard and biolizard or whatever. I don't think the biolizard's going to pop up here, I'm pretty sure, unless they ever dance off with him to end the movie.
I think the biolizard's going to be one of those Easter eggs that, like, in a terrarium in the corner, it's like labeled biolizard and like failed project.
I could see that. Or there's like a baby one. Very tiny.
Yeah, like labeled prototype.
Ooh,
But I guess the thing here would be, okay, 50 years ago, in this context of this world, it's that Sonic came to the planet via a ring thing. So what happened 50 years ago in this context, in the other context, Sonic's just always there. He just got born at some point on Earth. In this case, did Shadow come over and they just put him on ice? Did they build him? Or something along those lines. Unsure.
They call him an alien, so it feels like it kind of like maybe we recovered him from some sort of incident, something like that.
Although, I mean, if Sonic is a hedgehog and Shadow is a hedgehog, it seems a little rude for Sonic to call Shadow an alien, because wouldn't they be the same? That'd be like if I called you, Bo, an alien for some reason. Like, yeah, you're an alien.
How did you figure that out?
If they're using more of Sonic Adventure 2 than they are their own thing, I mean, in the game we know he's genetically engineered, but I guess they would, even if he is genetically engineered, they would still need to get the genetics from somewhere, right? Like, so yeah, I mean, there had to be something, some sort of contact, some sort of, we know there's alien stuff, regardless of whether or not Shadow popped in from somewhere or was engineered in the first place.
Oh, do you think they'll try to tie it back to, like, okay, why was the Master Emerald on Earth in the first place? Are they going to do anything with Longclaw's story, or is that?
I think so. I think part of it will be that maybe Shadow woke up because like the Master Emerald broke, and then all the Chaos Emeralds came out, and then they just went somewhere, right? That could have been the what woke Shadow, is like he could feel the chaos. Blah 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 blah.
Oh man, that should be in the tagline.
Yeah.
Feel the chaos, and so I feel like that might be the catalyst for the rest of the film, because in Sonic 2, it's like we just have to look for one emerald. there was no like emerald collectathon type thing. That
Mhm.
might be where you
do you
can
think
sort of
that's why they're
see.
going to all the cities?
I think so. They must be doing
Ah,
like it's a world travel sort of thing, maybe, and they're trying to beat each other in that regard. That might be the case of just
I
finding
like that
the
because
emeralds.
that would rescue the ridiculous. Well, Sega says Sonic can't become super with the Master Emerald. No, those are the Chaos Emeralds. All right, we're going to put them inside, and then it's going to
Inside the
break, and
mouth.
then they're going to. Yeah.
Here's the shortcut that we put into it.
Right. I guess if they do want to do Supersonic, they're going to need to bring back the emeralds from somewhere somehow. Uh, I mean, I guess that gives us something to do. But I mean, they clearly avoided needing to run around and collect the emeralds in the last one. So maybe they're like, oh, it's enough time, like in between. Right? Wasn't it a thing where I feel like somewhere in some interview, Pat Casey was like, "Oh yeah, we didn't do the Emerald thing because we didn't want it to look like Avengers, right?
Mhm.
Like Avengers: Infinity War."
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But now I guess it's been long enough. Who cares?
We have 7 and not 5 or whatever. Oh no, six
Right.
of those gems.
I think Pat also said it was an interview with us on the other show
Right.
where he was saying like they were kind of a late addition, right? It was always just the Master Emerald.
Yeah, I feel like he talked a little bit about it. Hey, and maybe we'll be able to talk to him one day on here about something other than Mortal
About
Kombat. Right. I know there's a lot in the trailer, but I feel like we should mention that Paramount released some screenshots, like official screenshots as well of the film, which does include an image of Kristen Ritter as a character called Director Rockwell. There's been a lot of speculation. I guess they did say that she was in the movie when they announced it properly. And there was a lot of speculation like, oh, is she going to be Rouge? Is she going to be Amy? Or are they going to make her a human character? Well, they've made her a human character, clearly. She's just someone in Gun. She's not in the trailer anywhere, but they did confirm who she's playing. There's also an image of Tom and Maddie. Tom's in a Donut Lord sweater. That looks fun.
It's weird that they had Kristen Ritter reprise her character from Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 313 or whatever.
Right. Well, that show did just sort of end. They need to conclude all of the plot threads. I'm assuming. I don't remember how that show ended. It was a good show. It got canceled, and then she was in a Marvel show. She was the one with the thing and the. Why
She
can't I
got
think of?
Jessica Jones.
Yeah, that was that. It's like I could completely blanking.
I mean, I could see her being like they had some gun people in the Knuckles show, right? Like they were
Mm-hmm.
there,
Uh-huh.
they were kind of fumbling. They didn't do very well at their job, so this might be a more serious character that they're sort of adding on to here in that
Right.
regard, or something along those lines.
Yeah, if you had told me in 2001 there's going to be a Shadow movie, like, okay, I can maybe see how that happens. If you told me Gun is going to be a really important part of multiple movies, like, what? Really?
Right. Gun is just sort of window dressing in SA2. Oh, they're just the thing you're running away from. And then at some point they vanish, right? Like in SA2, like by the time you go to Eggman's base, Gun doesn't matter anymore. And they certainly don't matter when you go to space. That they only exist, I feels like primarily for City Escape, and I guess also for Eggman to break into somewhere. And I know the island explodes and stuff, and Sonic does get captured, but
One thing I really appreciate about Sonic Adventure 2 is they're very careful about which enemies are Eggman enemies and which one are gun enemies, because the Eggman enemies have animals in them and the gun ones have chaos drives in them. And
Yeah.
like, what a nice little touch.
yeah, they cared.
And,
They were
I mean,
paying attention.
Gun in the. I mean, I guess at that point, the arc is meant to be like abandoned and sort of turned back on. So like they're not actually up there. Like it's just floating up in space. But that's where like the chaos, the artificial chaoses and stuff like that are sort of hanging out.
Right.
But then Shadow the Hedgehog, the game, is like all about Gun.
Right,
A lot of that sort of stuff there. The president's there.
Right.
And the guy with the commander with 2 different eye colors. he's sort of all part of that system.
Right.
And
We
stuff
do
like,
have yeah. We have a gun commander in this movie. I mean,
Yeah.
he is the
Olive Garden
commander.
guy.
Yeah. Right. I was gonna say, like, if director Rockwell is meant to be more serious, maybe it's because the gun commander seems to be a bit like he's been goofy in these first two movies. So if he
Yeah.
continues to be a bit goofy, then it makes sense that you have someone who is hard and serious and is gonna look at you and make you scared.
Someone who doesn't like going to the Olive Garden.
Oh man, what is she's like? I'm allergic to pasta.
Exactly. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, she's real serious now.
Right.
She
He's
can't
like,
enjoy good things.
but the never-ending pasta bowl is the most American thing you can order, and she's like, no. She just eats hamburgers and on the grill, and
She eats chili dogs.
she eats
so-
Doritos. That was the product placement in the Knuckles show.
oh yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Oh man, like if she eats chili dogs, then her and Sonic could bond in the film.
I guess at the beginning of this film, or at least in the trailer, Tails and the whole crew are in a helicopter and going to
Yes.
Tokyo in a helicopter. While at the beginning of Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic is in chains escaping said helicopter. So they're doing some twists there, I guess,
Right.
in this instance, and like trying to at least mention a few things there.
Hopefully, he still breaks a part of the helicopter off anyway. Like, he's just like, oh, this looks fun.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, Sonic, no, don't do that. He's like, no, it's fine.
No, we should have like a couple of minutes of like just a grinding metal noise over the music, like right at the beginning.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. We do have the helicopter. We have a big jump. We have Shadow. He's doing chaos control. He's on a motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
He does an Akira slide in the trailer. You can't escape
You gotta
it.
do the Akira slide. Yeah, you just
gotta do it, right? Right. I mean, so like, the motorcycle, like that's a big thing from 05, from the Shadow game. They're like, we're going to embrace that. I guess that kind of makes sense why Fearless Year of Shadow keeps on rolling around that motorcycle, because in all the footage we've seen of Sonic X Shadow Generations, there's no motorcycle.
No.
And Shadow has new Doom powers where he's his own vehicle. But they keep on rolling around this motorcycle, and I just like, oh, okay, whatever, 05 or Shadow. But I guess it's secretly been advertising this movie the whole time. We didn't
Shadow
even realize it.
He can doom surf.
Yes.
Which was like, oh
Right.
yeah. Let me in this case, but like he's not doom biking around anywhere.
Oh, that might look a little gross. Right, Arlen, because we haven't had you. I forget when you were on here last. You certainly weren't here since the most recent trailer. Like, how are you feeling about Sonic X Shadow Generations right now?
I mean, I think it's looking really good. I'm honestly surprised at how much it actually looks thoughtful and they've thought through this. They've gone, let's not put guns in this, but like let's make this interesting. They're doing honestly some more interesting selection of levels, I would probably say.
Mhm.
I feel like with original Sonic Generations, some of the levels were just a bit too classic, or just like the what is it? Is it Seaside Hill is in Sonic Generations?
Yeah, that's right.
Like great, it's a great level to play, but at the end they go, well, here's the first level from most of these games.
Yeah.
And then it kind of gets a bit samey when like what would have been like Unleashed. The Unleashed level is a rooftop run, but like that would have been a great ice level. There's no ice level in that sort of thing. This one, going with Radical Train and the Space Colony arc, you see a lot of just a wider variety of vibes in the stages, and ones that honestly probably have more interesting gimmicks to them in that way. And so I'm excited to see like what they do, and also like honestly, the bosses actually look like the best bosses that a Sonic game has had in a long time. Compared to like a Sonic Superstars or something like that, where those bosses were just extraordinarily long, but like the the choice of like the Doom Ball, oh no, the Super Mechasonic, whatever it's called. What's it called? The Ultimate Metal Sonic.
Metal Overlord is
Metal Overlord. That's the one.
From
Right.
Heroes, yeah, Metal Overlord.
Yeah.
It seems like you have to do. It obviously does have a lot more hits than like hit this 8 times, but the fun. It does seem fun to actually fight against him, which is neat. Where like sometimes other levels are just say over their welcome, or it's yet another egg dragoon that you have to
Oh
fight.
boy.
Where there's been like 4 or 5 different times you've got to defeat that one boss through various games. But I'm also curious because they've talked about the thing I'm interested with is that they've got levels from Frontiers and Forces. So now it's curious, like, well, Shadow's not even in Frontiers, so what's going on there? But now I'm curious on like, is this set when Sonic Generations was happening, or if it's like now after all that happened, then something happens where Shadow has to go and the Doom Eye breaks out, or another different Time Eater thing happens, and it's now from now past in this case.
Time travel, you can do it all, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interestingly, like Sonic played Shadow levels in Frontiers.
Yeah.
Like he does Skyrail.
Oh no! So in Sonic Generations on the 3DS, he does a Radical Highway level in the 3DS one.
Right.
I mean, in Frontiers, they have the.
Sorry. Yeah.
Like there's just the stolen. They own it all. Their own.
It's all-
yeah. Yeah. There's a couple. I think Skyrail is definitely one of the borrowed level designs. I couldn't tell you offhand like which one it is, but
it's that one, and they do the Highway one too.
Yeah, the
Radical
Radical Highway.
Yeah, Radical Highway.
Yeah, I think it kind of it makes sense. Like one of the things that I kind of wish Generations could have done, but maybe it just wasn't on the table for many reasons. Is like, oh, there should be a level that teases the next game. Of course, the next big game was Lost World, and they all looked like old things. Like, oh, the first level just looks like Green Hill. It's fine. But in this, I know in press they seem to make it sound like Shadow's campaign is happening at the same time as Sonic's, and that the stories are even crossing over with each other at various times. Not sure exactly how, unless it's just Shadow sees Sonic and is like, we need to fight over an emerald, I guess, and I'll give it to you, which is the only thing Shadow does. And then maybe we'll get him to, we'll see him be like, yeah, Sonic, you take care of Eggman, because I gotta actually fight Black Doom.
That's a really confusing boss fight when you encounter Shadow in Generations. Like, there's like a ring management thing, and then
it took me a couple
meteors.
times to understand what you're supposed to do. But now that it's like, oh, hey, this is time travel. We've had plenty of games since. Then it makes some sense. Like, oh yeah, you can bring in something new to Shadow, especially because like if he's running around on the Frontiers Island, he's not a part of that game. Zero context, zero idea what's supposed to be happening there. You don't even have to have the conversation. Oh, well, why doesn't then Shadow know this, that, and the other thing's supposed to happen? The Forces level that might be a little funkier because he is in that game, but also he does nothing in that game. So it might not be too hard to explain why he doesn't learn anything running around in a Forces level.
Yeah, it's just like those extra 3 levels. You got like an extra level, I guess, that was like 95% a Sonic level if you like pre-ordered Sonic Forces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's fine.
They're okay. He does have that kind of unique mechanic where he does the homing attack and then it attacks the entire line of enemies. But
yeah, but like it's very like it's fine. But there's some interesting things, I guess, with like outside of the game. They've also been showing like they're going to do like those anime like cutscenes of some stuff that happened, and so like of like Shadow's thing. So they showed like a little glimpse of him fighting Emerald on the space colony arc and stuff like that, which is like vaguely hinted at in Sonic Battle that like that I found him and then we went he went crazy, and so that's where, and the difference, I guess, with like Sonic Generations versus Sonic and Cross Shadow Generations is we've got people like Ian Flynn on board who knows too much about Sonic the Hedgehog. Because if I was writing Sonic and Shadow Generations, I would have completely forgotten that Shadow had really anything to do, or Emerald had anything to do with being on the Space Colony arc. That would have been like, no, that was just not a thing I would have remembered at all. But someone did and said that would be a cool fight to have because they've not shown Emerald's just not been in kind of anything. Well, he's gone, but like even Gemerl, if that's how you say his name, I've never actually really said it out loud. But Gemerl is in the comics, does a bunch of stuff, but like isn't in the games, isn't ever mentioned in like any sort of like legitimate any of the game side of things as well. So if they're going to do that with some really cool anime stuff, it sounds like they're going to do a couple of those. So keen to see what they do next with that stuff.
There is the animated shorts that are coming up to promote the game, and then there's the game, and then there's the movie. So next couple of months are going to be very shadow packed.
Whoa. That's right, because we are in Fearless: Year of Shadow, which you can't forget. That's right. That's why the movie. I know I hopped from movie to game. I don't know how much more we necessarily have to say about the movie and the trailer at this point. It does seem very straightforward. Clearly, even though Bo hates trailers, I think we all are like, yeah, this looks good.
It looks good. I don't like trailers. Right. I do like movies. And
right, you like movies. You don't want to.
Sure.
Right. Now, what if you saw a 3-minute movie? How would you feel about that?
Oh, I don't know. How long is the trailer? Like 3.5 seconds?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Maybe that's the trailer I can get behind.
Okay. Yeah. Right. I mean, I guess we could briefly talk about the things that aren't there, because if they are adapting Sonic Adventure 2, like I said, I briefly mentioned, oh yeah, Kristen Ritter, she's not playing Rouge or Amy. We're not getting Rouge or Amy. I mean, we haven't seen it. We don't know if we're getting them or not, but so far.
Do you think they would do like a fake out where actually like she is Rouge, but in this universe, Rouge is a human? That would be bad. They shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I don't want them to do that. I did see somebody on Twitter be like, "Oh, are they doing like the Marvel thing where in a trailer sometimes they remove something from footage?" And there's like the shot of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles before they enter Eggman's base or wherever he's hiding out. His nice pod,
giant enemy crab.
His giant enemy, his giant enemy crab. And there's like this spot where somebody's like, oh, a fourth figure could be right there, and like the way it's blocked, and it's like, yeah, I guess there could be a fourth someone there, but also it's possible there isn't. I don't know. Like,
I think there's going to be a fourth character, but not till the stinger.
Oh, okay, right. Because it does feel 4. Like they're gonna Sonic 4, yeah. I mean, I feel like they're going to want to make more of these.
It'll be based on the game Sonic 4.
Oh, right.
It'll be awful.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. So you're saying you think, oh, if there's anyone else, it'll just be in the stinger. I mean, Arlen, do you think that maybe a Rouge or an Amy is still hiding out and they're just waiting, like, either for a second trailer or for the film itself? Or do you think now there's just Shadow is enough to deal with?
If there is another character in here, they're doing an exceptional job of not having anything show up. Because like when Sonic 2 was coming out, we saw Knuckles' head on a pike to like promote, to like show that this character is here. When we're when we're going to Walmart and they're already like got Sonic 3 toys and stuff already going out there, like they're having a hard enough time not talking about all this stuff, all this merch that's already coming out. The fact that they wouldn't have an Amy or a Rouge or something there would be that. And I am sad that like an Amy and a Rouge or an Amy is not being part of this in another way. But also, I feel when they were going to obviously add Tails and then they added Knuckles. but like Knuckles became the character. Tails sort of became a bit of an afterthought, honestly, where he's like, "Hey, I just showed up. I was watching you." Anyway, anyway, let's keep going. I don't really know if Amy will really have much to. She never didn't really have that much to add, honestly, to the Sonic Adventure 2 in this scenario, and would be better suited for if a Metal Sonic is the bad guy, then also have an Amy as part of this or something along those lines, because they are more intertwined than she is really the Shadow. Because it would be another case of like she just, hey, I'm here. I was watching you also, and also, whoops, I accidentally thought Shadow was you at some point. Just as a wink and a nod to the several times that she's accidentally thought someone was Sonic. But that would really be it, probably. And to be going around with all these characters, I don't know if she'd have much to add to it. Rouge probably would have more to add, but because she'd be more in line with Gun and whatever's going there. But I would also feel a bit weird to have Rouge appear before Amy. Or maybe they sort of merged the two and it's like Amy, but she's actually a gun a gun agent or something like that.
Right.
I mean, just do something completely different to the character at this point.
Right.
Will we see Big the Cat somewhere? Is really the big.
Hopefully, maybe we'll see him at the end. He will be the one who's like, if there is an arc and they go up there, and we just find out Big's been living there for the last 50 years, and he's the one that saves the day. I think is what happens. I mean, between Amy and Rouge, I feel like Rouge would make the most sense in terms of the story, because it's clearly SA2 and Rouge was more heavily involved in the plot of that game. I know Amy has the moment with Shadow and also gets kidnapped and unlocks Sonic, but also we're playing by different rules. Like, I don't think we're going to we're clearly not having Gun go, oh, is Shadow, we've mistaken him. Like, that's off the table. Maybe there'll be a nod, like, because Sonic as an entity isn't known to the public. So if Shadow does something public, because clearly they're just standing in the middle of places in this trailer. Like, I guess this is where the world finally realizes hedgehogs can talk. So maybe somebody could get confused and be like, oh, wait, aren't you just like that other guy who hit me real fast? And I'll be like, no, I'm a completely different talking hedgehog, I swear. Like, maybe something like that, but certainly not it's Gun and they're going after him for some reason.
I would also think if they brought in Rouge, it would be like there'd be a whole thing where Knuckles falls in love with her or like something, that sort of thing. And that's just a lot, or there's already seems to be a lot going on in this film with everything else that will sort of be told, and whether or not like that would really fit in the context of it all, I don't know. And I would have thought if they were going to try to bring in another character that you didn't necessarily have to like describe what they are or why they're there, you would have probably tried to do it in the Knuckles show. Like the Knuckles show would have gone like, hey, Amy's here, we've introduced her, she's also here now in the movie there is a pink hedgehog or something along those lines. Or Rouge was like following him around and trying to figure out what he was doing or what the Gun agents were doing. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, then I guess I just have one final question, unless, we got more to say. And that is, do you think Shadow will move into Tom and Maddie's house at the end of this movie?
I don't think Shadow survives the events in the movie. They should kill him off properly the way they should have in Adventure 2 and keep him killed off.
Oh, like they haven't signed Keanu to a 3-film deal plus a TV show?
Yeah. I don't think... I think Sonic moves out at the end of this film. I think it'll be... I feel, by the end of the third, they'll go like, I'm going to go back to my home planet. In a not so much Poochie the dog style, but going just like, hey, cool, there's more out there. I'm going to go back to my Green Hill, so that there's just I'm in CG land now, or something along those lines. I don't know. Because they were talking about him growing up in the second film, and so now he's probably maybe like 18ish or something along those lines. He's like 15, I think, in the something close to that. In this case,
he's got to go through something with his heart and or lungs.
yes,
Right.
That's
exactly.
his emotional arc this time.
Or like, yeah, maybe just find his own way, or go back to like where Knuckles' thing lived and all that sort of thing, and maybe have a cross. But I don't really expect them to be still hanging around with Donut Lord and Maddie and all that sort of stuff by the end of this. To be honest, but like that just might be my wishful thinking of like I don't really like the human parts of the films that much. I just want funny cartoon animals hitting each other in a classic Sonic style. But we'll see.
Right, we will, unless we find out that Shadow is actually Sonic's real dad.
Oh god,
and then
that'll be weird.
And then the next film is just going to be him and Tom going to court, fighting over custody of Sonic. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's what happens in the next one. We can put money on it. Don't put money on it.
So before we head out, was there anything in the mailbag?
We do have another letter, I guess. This actually comes from the Discord server, which of course you can join if you email us, sonicweeklypodcast@gmail.com. Ask for that link. But yeah, so this is from Mysterious Mr. E. Hey gang, we're eating good with the Shadow Generations and Sonic 3 trailers, but let's be greedy. What else do we want to see from either of these projects? Fingers crossed we get a NASA space shuttle launching from the pyramids. Crossfinger emoji. I know we've talked a lot about Shadow in this episode, but yeah, is there anything like you just really want to see from, I guess, from either of them, right? The game, the movie, maybe out of life, like you just want Shadow to actually be real.
Yes. I think they've already sort of hinted that this will happen, but like just a giant truck chase sounds good. That will be a very fun one. Like, just the, maybe not necessarily like boarding down the streets. And in this case, it might end up being like Tokyo and not San Francisco in this way. So we'll see how that goes. But like how that would function, I think that would be a lot of fun. And that's what I'm hoping for at the moment.
I want to see Perfect Chaos burst out of a skyscraper on a big screen.
Yeah.
I know it's not going to happen in this coming movie, but I hope that's in storyboard for number 4.
Number 4, yeah. I definitely want to see that. When it comes to Shadow specifically, I'll say I just want to hear him say damn once, like in the movie or in the game. Probably won't happen in the game, but I think you could sneak in a Keanu damn in the film. But outside of Shadow, I want the post-credit scene of the film to be the gun commander retiring from military service and opening up his own Olive Garden franchise.
Oh, yeah. Olive Garden. He could be Burger Shop guy.
Oh, he could be the
yes.
That's what I want to see. I want to see him, be like, yeah, this is mine. I'm the manager. We have a good time. It's never ending possible for life. Like he would probably offer that to, because Tom could finally redeem the gift card at the Olive Garden the Gun Commander owns and operates. That's what I want to see. It'll tie it all together. It'll be great. That's what I want. Bo, is there any news from the Rings of Saturn?
Rings of Saturn. There's always news every week. This week, I'm looking at an arcade game called Gun Frontier.
Ooh.
It's one of these space/Western themed games, as though there are a bunch of those. Anyways, a Gun Frontier, it's a shoot 'em up. You're spaceship going up and down, shooting, things are coming at you.
That's fun.
So what I found is there's like most of the time like cheat codes aren't funny. Like, okay, you maybe make like a funny word out of BA down up or something. But this one, cheat code nobody's discovered in 27 years, which is if you plug in a light gun and shoot the options screen with it, you get level select and infinite credits. And nobody knew that this game supported the light gun for the Saturn.
Ooh.
And nobody ever thought to plug one in and point it at the screen and shoot the options menu. But I did, and I found this, and it has this giant explosion effect, and they like really went for it with it, and
Wow.
it made me laugh out loud.
That is very funny. Now you just need to check every single game to see if every game has checks for
secret light gun support.
somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Your Rings of Saturn stuff actually got me into doing a bit of stuff for my various different blogs like PlayStation Park and Sega City and Nintendo Metro, because a lot of the games, especially on PlayStation, I end up making GIFs out of the attract mode. So like, okay, cool, it's going to show a bunch of games, but some games just have the words press start or something like that. Very frustratingly in the middle. Saturn stuff I can sometimes turn off like the right layer. But now I've been like editing with HXD and just going, is the word press start in here? Remove this.
Right, replace it with spaces.
A lovely clear attract mode, and then get the footage of that. And that's been very useful. Some of them are still a bit of a pain in the ass. I'd love to be able to do it for Tekken or any of the Tekken games, but I'm pretty sure they use a sprite for the word game over.
Send me which one you're interested in. I speak a little bit of MIPS, a little bit of PlayStation processor.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, PlayStation stuff's really easy to get to just dig into. There's so many like, oh, you can just extract every texture out of this thing like pretty quick.
Right.
This is the case of putting it back in. That's just like a little bit more work than I want to try to put in. But it's made me allow to do some more like Saturn stuff as well, or even like I need to get some more footage of Sonic 3D on the Saturn. It's like, cool, I can just edit the word press start off it, and then it'll get a few more stages that I didn't need to before.
We are in a renaissance of hacking late 90s stuff, I think. And hey, this renaissance is drawing to a close.
Oh,
What's that sound?
that's right. That is the sound. That's the sound of, hey, we've been talking for an hour, give or take. And now we're winding things down. You know, it's like you go out, let's say you need to, you're going to dinner with your family, and at about the hour mark, you're like, yeah, where's that check? And if you are the one who's being forced to cover that check, just be happy to know that you're doing that after listening to another episode of Sonic Weekly. Yes, that's right, Sonic Weekly, the only Sonic show that comes out every week with the word weekly in the title. If you've enjoyed this, and you haven't already, of course, you can always subscribe to the podcast using your podcatcher of choice, be that Apple Podcasts, be it Spotify. If you have an Android device, we suggest, of course, using Podcast Addict. There it is. Current Grant, who is Bo, has it right now. Hey, and when you do that, you know, you can leave us a review, give us 5 stars or whatever stars these things do. Those help us out in some sort of algorithmic way. There was a word there. It doesn't matter. We would like it. Hey, high five. But if you don't even want to deal with a podcatcher, we are also over on YouTube. That's right. It's at Sonic-Weekly. You can like, comment, and subscribe. And hey, there's more than just audio. There's gameplay footage recorded by friend of the show, Jack of Old Games. So it gives you something to look at. Whoa, cool. High five. Hey, and if you want to get in contact with the show, email us, sonicweeklypodcast@gmail.com. We do the mailbag section. We also have a viewer mail channel in the Discord server, which, hey, if you email us, ask for that link, we'll send it over. But you can also get that link if you want to support the show just a little bit more than saying, hey, how you doing? We've got a Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com/sonicweekly. If you want to throw something into the tip jar, if you want to subscribe, there's some extra goodies from Wife of the Grant, Ashlyn. You can, and you get a link to the Discord there too. So, however you're feeling. But either way, that works. thank you, Arlan, once again for joining us this week. Links to all of your fancy blogs, I'm sure, are in the description below. Thank you, Bo, for being here, and thank you, Grant, for all of your investigative reporting.
Wherever he may be.